never doing that again. Welcome, everybody, to Neek, the Pull List Podcast. This is our first episode of our new show about what we picked up either at our local comic book shops or online. As always, don't forget to check us out on all the social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. I could keep going because apparently there's a ton. We might even have a Pinterest one day. I don't know.
We will post delicious Nikiki recipes.
Yes, it'd be great.
To share with middle-aged
So
moms.
that voice you just heard there is, of course, my partner, comic book crime, the Demon Sour Cream, Raish Al Finney. How you doing, Josh?
I am doing fantastic, Ray. We've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yes,
very excited to finally be doing this. We have too much to talk about. Too many good comics out there right now.
There's a lot of good comics, and people complain, oh, comic books cost too much money. Comic books are boring. Those are all complaints, and you're a liar.
Those are all complaints that I had until about a year ago. I blame Ray for this. I have two boxes filled with comic books now. This is all his fault.
I take full responsibility. And, I didn't really start buying comics again until about 3 years ago, when I was just like, you know what? I want to start reading comic books again. And I did, and now I can't stop. And I love it. It's great. So this will be the show that we do every 2 weeks, that we talk about the books that we picked up and books that we think you should definitely check out because there's so many different kinds of books. And as you guys think of books that you want us to check out, feel free to let us know. Comment sections on everything that we do. So yeah, leave comments there. We'll be great about it.
Especially if you're into indie comics, because we don't really know that realm that well. We wait for recommendations.
Yes.
So please, if you have any recommendations there, please throw them our way.
Yep. So any of them, just let us know, and we'll definitely give them a look because we do not discriminate here. Well, I won't say that because that might be made a liar at some point. Aquaman. Anyway,
Ray's gonna decide he hates Dark Horse one day.
Oh, I could. You never know. Anyway, so I think Josh and I both have about 4 books that we picked up from the past week that we want to talk about. And I guess we'll go one by one off of each other. So, Josh, you want to start?
Yeah. My favorite pickup that I did actually in the last 2 weeks just came out 2 days ago on Wednesday. Old Man Logan #1.
Yes, tell me about that.
Okay, so we're going to try to avoid spoilers as much as possible in these. Okay?
Right, because we want you guys to read these books. So this is kind of our suggestion show, really.
Right. With it being a #1, though, I mean, you got to kind of have an intro to it. It picks up where the Secret Wars book left off. In a lot of ways, if you read Secret Wars, there were 1.5 million tie-ins. Old Man Logan was one of the ones that was very, very tastefully done, even though we did not have Mark Millar coming back to write it. I think it was Brian Michael Bendis who wrote the Secret Wars one. That's kind of considered book 0 now. The Old Man Logan, if you get to the end of Secret Wars, we know that a couple of characters make it out knowing everything. He remembers what happened in his reality. He remembers it very briefly. He kind of, it's like it's a dream, but it's not. He doesn't know what he's suddenly doing when he lands in Times Square, as seen by the cover. Lands here in Times Square. It's very well done. The art is keeping in style with Old Man Logan, like the original graphic novel was, and now how the Secret Wars one was. The dialogue is top notch, and I got to say, it may honestly be my favorite of the new books.
Okay.
It's one that I was really apprehensive about. I didn't want. I thought they were just kind of shoving him into this universe to get Logan back in it, but this is better than I could have hoped for.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of Old Man Logan to begin with, so I kind of picked it up on a whim. I'm really, really glad they did. It's violent. It does have a parental advisory on it.
Okay.
But it's very well done. Highly recommend.
So who's writing that one? Do you know?
Lemire.
Okay.
Lemire,
right.
I'm not really too familiar. Jeff Lemire. I'm not super familiar with him. But the writing is very, very good, which I was surprised by. There's a couple of go-to writers that I'll read anything they do in Marvel. Jonathan Hickman, Charles Soule, and Mark Waid. But this was top notch.
Good stuff.
I hope it keeps its momentum. The next issue drops in 2 weeks, I believe. It's coming very quickly. So I just hope that they keep the momentum going. It looks like they're going to. It's in a good place.
Yeah, and that book, I have never really been super interested in Wolverine because he's been more of the
Mhm.
people's champ. And so I was like, but this book sounds like I really want to give it a shot, but I'll probably wait and pick them up in back issue when that happens because then I was like, I'll have them all and I can just read them. It sounds like the book that I do that with.
Right. It's already irritated me that I don't have the next part.
Yeah, so we'll get there, but good stuff. Good pick. So my first book that I picked up is Captain Marvel #1.
Yes,
Um,
I loved this one too.
See, I've always been wanting to read Carol Danvers books, but just she was treated so poorly in the past, and then all of a sudden she had this resurgence, and she's amazing now. And I'm like, okay, so I've been reading, Kamala Khan, and I love Miss Marvel, so I was like, it's time to read some Captain Marvel. Plus, I think she kind of she might lead into some Civil War stuff, Civil War II anyway.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, this is pretty much like the reimagining of Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel, and she's been always been more of the she's been a cosmic hero for a long time too, but she's based on Earth, where she's defending Earth from any alien attacks and other stuff. But now she's like kind of like a diplomat, like almost an ambassador for Earth. And they're kind of traveling around and doing some cool stuff. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into this one some more and see what's going on. But so far, I love Carol. I've always enjoyed her character, the animated Carol anyway. She's been great. I've always really enjoyed her. It'd be fun. But this one's written by Tara Butlers and Michelle Fazakis. I'm gonna butcher your names. I'm really sorry, but so far they understand this character, and I'm really excited.
Well, and something that's really notable about those two is they write the Agent Carter show.
That's right. Oh,
this was one that was on our radar for quite a while.
Mhm.
I think you and I talked about it at one point. At least amongst ourselves, we might have talked about it on the show. That's very cool to me. It shows that they know it. It really made me, after the first issue, I was like, man, I really hope they consult them on the Carol Danvers movie that's coming up.
Oh, I would really hope so. If they don't, that'd be a mistake.
I don't think they're writing it. They already have the writers in place.
Well, I mean, like just kind of like they consult Jeff Johns for a bunch of the DC stuff that they do.
Right, huge mistake if you don't. These guys,
right,
within one issue, do so much groundwork on it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some surprise characters I grew up with that show up in it. So I'm very very excited to see where it goes.
All right. Well, what was your second pick, Josh?
My second pick was All New, All Different Avengers, issue #4.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm only on issue 2 of that.
This is so I'm not going to show the cover. I don't want to spoil anything. It's it's a very cool cover. I think it's going to make Ray very happy. Okay. The cover artwork for this series already has been great. I like how it's very stylized. It's very different from any other book. It easily stands out. That's All New, All Different Avengers.
Right.
The team makeup, if you haven't been following along, it's Sam Wilson, Jane Foster Thor, The Vision, Tony Stark, and then we have 3 young members also. You have Miles Morales, Kamala Khan, and Sam Alexander as Nova. Very, very, very good team.
That's really good. I love
at how much I've liked this team.
Yeah,
I was really. I mean, we were both excited for it when we read issue 0 at Free Comic Book Day last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of wary on it. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to add this to my list. So I picked up the first issue immediately. This is my now go-to Avengers book. I think it blows Uncanny and New Avengers out of the water. Just very easy. Just team makeup alone blows those out of the water. It has a much more serious tone than those also. Right. Even though you still have these kids running around there, they're trying to be heroes. It's the team chemistry is there already. Right away, issue #1, there's something to jump into. There's a threat. And issue 4 is kind of like the beginning of the second arc. Like 1, 2, and 3 are kind of a prologue to everything. This one, it's very interesting. We see kind of more of where the Avengers are now, 8 months after Secret Wars, and what's going on. And just the ending, it kind of implies some stuff with, there's a lot with Lady Thor that goes on specifically. She's probably the focus of this issue, which I love. I think
she needs more time. They haven't given her enough time, if you ask me.
Exactly. I think she's been horribly neglected. I was hoping we would get a lot out of Secret Wars with her, but she was criminally underused.
She got 2 panels outside of the Thor book?
Yeah, she basically got nothing, which was really disappointing. But it's still very much about the elder members of the team. The series so far has been. It kind of focuses on them, but also the consequences of being a hero in terms of Kamala and Sam. Miles already understands what it's like to be a hero. They don't quite yet. So it's kind of dealing with the different consequences and how they're still trying to protect, specifically New York. That's where they are. They're based out of New York City, where the Avengers always have been, but they're not fighting global threats quite yet.
Right.
Very, very, very good introduction to the new universe. I think all different Avengers kind of it's your sampling platter, really. Each of these characters has their own solo series also, some of which are good, some of which are terrible, but Mark Waid clearly knows these characters already.
Okay.
I like it.
Well,
the artwork is top notch too.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like I said, I've read the first two. I'm on the second one, but I love this team. This team is my favorite Avengers team so far. It's because they have such a diverse, group of members. Not just
Tony's
male and
the
female,
only
but
founding member
young
that's
and
still
old.
there. Tony and Vision are the two mainstays with it, and I like that because they all kind of acknowledge, like, oh, Tony's kind of the leader, but even Tony's like ceding it to Sam in this series, which I love.
That's one thing about this new version of Tony that they've been putting out that I really like is that he's like, he's like in a lead role because of where he's been and what he's done, but he doesn't want to lead the team because he knows that he's not a good leader.
While we're talking Tony Stark, why don't we go into your next pickup, Ray?
Oh, well, my next pickup is the Invincible Iron Man, the 2015 series, and we talked about this before a little bit on the spoiler cast about how we read the first issue before Secret Wars ended. And so I finally picked up 2 and 3 because Secret Wars is now done. So I feel like I could actually read this book.
Right. And, I did the same thing. I bought 2, 3, and 4 like all in the same week.
Yeah, because I'm like, I can read this book now because Secret Wars is done. So I just bought 2 and 3. And this is written by Bartolo Bendis, our hero and savior, my hero and savior anyway. And this is my favorite version of Tony Stark. This is pretty much, I don't know, it's like a refresh Tony after all that Superior Iron Man bullshit that I don't want to talk about.
I pretend that didn't happen personally.
It's like Spider-Man 3. Anyway.
He went there, people.
I definitely went there. But anyway, it's pretty much, we get Tony back. Tony's, I won't say poor, but Tony doesn't have all the money that we're used to. Now it's just kind of Tony figuring things out, deciding, that, he's Iron Man, always has been Iron Man, but some very interesting characters have shown up now, and things are about to change for Tony, for sure. So this is kind of like it's not the classic Tony Stark. Tony Stark gets into the situation, has to figure a way out. It's more Tony Stark is trying to figure out his life and where he goes from here after the whole Secret Wars deal and with all the new people who've shown up in his life. And so far, it's my favorite Tony Stark.
Because Tony is one of the characters who does not know what happened. Most of the characters do not know what happened. Very few. I personally like where it's going. I think it has a lot of potential. I was really iffy on this. Ray actually convinced me to buy the first book. Neither one of us realized it had Secret Wars spoiler, though, until we read it at the exact same time. We're like, no! Do not read any of these without reading without reading Secret Wars 9. Do not read this book.
Yeah, and I mean, if I guess I can actually say if you haven't read Secret Wars at all, that it's okay to pick this up.
Yeah.
Because it would make sense. It wouldn't make sense, but it would make sense as the story progresses.
If you're
just this story by itself, anyway.
They're all very much standalone stories. They don't rely on you knowing the end. The only one that really relies on you knowing the end is Squadron Supreme. Other than that, it's I think it has a lot of potential. I'm still kind of iffy on it. Haven't really added it to my pull list yet, but I think issue 4 might have pushed me over the edge to say I need to get this regularly. I need to go get a subscription.
But I feel like between this one and a few other ones that I'm going to talk about are going to be on my definite pull list for sure for the rest of the year. So all right. Yeah. What's your next one, Josh?
My next one, I would really, I'm still kind of processing it. Scott Snyder's Batman. It's been a long time since I bought Batman regularly. I think the last time I bought actual issues, I bought the collected edition of Death in the Family.
Okay, yeah,
Um, is that it was earlier in Scott Snyder's run.
yeah.
I bought that one. It returned the Joker and things like that. This was a
I'm
really bad place for me to dive back into, to just pick up an
yeah.
issue on a whim and jump in. It's a very well done issue. I have no idea what's going on. This is my reintroduction to DC. I haven't read DC in a couple of years now.
Yeah, I've been slowly reading the Court of Owls over the past year. I've also been following my Superman
Yeah.
books since 2011.
So, I mean, if you've been keeping up with Scott Snyder's Batman, this is a very solid issue. It's a very good issue. I don't think it has anything really to do with an overarching story. It's kind of like a standalone issue. A lot of individual books have those. It deals with a really interesting villain that's flower-based.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw that cover. That cover was weird.
Yeah, the cover is really cool, though. I really do like the cover. And I forgot how much I like Scott Snyder writing Batman. Yeah, I've talked about it on the show before, but he really is one of my favorite writers to ever do The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very good, and that's why, if there's a Batman solo film, please consult this man on it.
Let him write it.
Well, let's not go that far. Jeff Johns and Ben Affleck are going to be writing it, but
well, okay, and I'm going to say it right now. Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman, but we'll talk about that later.
I picked up another Batman issue this week, though. I did not read Convergence last year. I will freely admit that. I almost picked it up, then
I'm sorry, but who did? I don't know anybody that I talked to. And I know a lot of people.
I heard some people are tripping acid or something because they told me it was better than Secret Wars.
Who told you that?
People that I no longer trust.
Okay, good.
So I kind of jumped back in, and I knew it was going to be an event comic when I picked up the issues. I picked up the Batman and Flash issues of the Darkseid War, their tie-ins. So it's after Darkseid's been defeated, and his power's been distributed amongst the members of the Justice League.
What?
I really, really, really like these two issues. I've heard some complaints, some longtime DC fans like, no, this is garbage. For someone just getting into the universe and who's never really read Justice League, I loved it. I absolutely love what they did with Batman, and
Josh,
then
I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna write this down. And if I read these and I'm like, Josh, this is garbage.
Yeah, Ray may never trust me again. I'm not a huge DC guy though, so I really enjoyed it.
It's all right though. I might enjoy it.
The Batman issue in particular, it really struck me. It showed a different side of the Dark Knight. I liked it. I liked it less than the Flash issue. The Flash issue had, out of the comics that we've talked about this week, even beating out Old Man Logan, probably some of my favorite artwork I've read in quite some time. I'm not a huge Flash guy. I don't know a ton. I watched a show on CW. I know Ray loves the Flash. I really think you're going to enjoy this issue. And the ending of that issue directly goes into the next phase of the storyline, unlike Batman's, which really doesn't. There's a Superman tie-in, a Green Lantern one. I think there's a Wonder Woman. So I kind of want to read them all now, just to see what they did with the individual characters. I really like that. I think it shows when they have these godlike powers almost. What do they choose to do with those powers? How does that affect their psyche?
Wait, so Batman has powers now?
Well, I mean, that's the cover literally gives it away. It's very interesting how they do it. It's very tastefully done, I'll say that.
Let me tell you, because that was one of my ideas for a Batman book, if I was to ever write one, is to see how Batman would actually fare if he was given powers against his will.
I really think you need to read that. I don't want to get into too much detail. I'm trying to avoid spoilers for anybody. We're trying to kind of hype these up. This was my reintroduction to DC, were these two books, because I got them last week. And
I need you to send me all the information about that, so I'm gonna pick it up today.
I like where it goes. I think these were one shots that they did for each of the characters in the Justice League before it keeps continuing the story. But man, it makes me want to read a lot more DC after doing that storyline.
That's good, because that's what we want. we want good stuff from both sides.
Right. Ray's going to start my education. We all know I'm a huge Marvel guy. I read Walking Dead for 100-something issues, and I don't read it anymore. But this got me excited in DC again.
Good. I'm really excited. Oh, I'm so excited to hear you say that. Good.
Ray, what's your next
So
pickup?
speaking of DC, and I'm cheating. I'm using this one as my honorable mention. I have Cyborg. The new Cyborg run is actually on issue 7, but I'm only on issue 3. So it's pretty much not really a spoiler, but Cyborg died. But as you know, there's technology inside of Cyborg that keeps evolving and changing, and they don't really know the capabilities or the kind of the limits of this stuff. And it brought him back to life. And now he's evolving at this weird rapid pace, and they have no idea why. So it's pretty much trying to, we're finding out more about Cyborg and what's going on and the history behind the technology in him. And I'll tell you now, there's this new enemy that we find out about that has a very similar technology, and we find out how that all meshes together. So far it's been a really cool book, because that was always the thing I was most interested in. And it's like, where did this technology come from that's inside Boog's body? It's always just been kind of something that they found and were messing with, and now we're actually finding out about it. Well, I'm now finding out through these books what it is and where it's from. And we also found out more about Cyborg, and Cyborg's a great character, and this is a true tale of the Cyborg character is fantastic, and I think it's David Walker. David Walker's doing a fantastic job with this book. So I recommend anybody pick up the Cyborg books. They are worthy and need to be picked up. Read them.
So for someone who I've never really read anything regarding Cyborg, my furthest extent with Cyborg is the occasional Justice League issue and mainly the Injustice comics. I love Injustice.
Right, Injustice I think is the best-selling book right now.
That was my anchor to the DC universe, was Injustice. I just love the way the comics were done. I was a huge fan of the game. And I like alternate reality stuff.
Right.
So for someone who's never really read Cyborg, would you recommend this series? Or do I need to have a prior knowledge
this book,
of the
yes,
character?
definitely. If you've never read Cyborg but you know who Cyborg is, it's really like they make it accessible. Like you could just jump right into this book.
Good. Because I want to get knowledge of Cyborg since we got Justice League coming in about a year and a half or so. We got Justice League Part 1. We got Dawn of Justice coming next month. I really want to get familiar with this character beforehand. I want to know what is he all about? And so for new readers, this is a great jumping on point. It's still early in the run.
The first book gets you caught up, but it gets you to a point where, okay, this is Cyborg now, and what's happening with Cyborg now, which is important. So yeah, definitely check it out. I mean, they reference his death from before, but you could Google that pretty easily and that real quick. So
I'd rather read it through a book than an online summary, though.
Yeah. So since I cheated and that was my honorable mention, I'll get on to my actual third pick, which is Power Rangers. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 0. I think I picked this up last week. It's pretty much I'm gonna say that it's a retelling of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers story, and it's. God, the art is great. So Saban got with Boom Comics. It was like, look, we want to do a book, and I'm so glad that they're doing this. This is great. It's surprising. I think it's my favorite of all that I've read in like the past month.
Really?
It's like they start with Tommy, the Green Ranger, Tommy Oliver, and with Rita, and pretty much telling him that, hey, guess what? You might be pretending to be these kids' friends, but guess what? I sent you there to kill them, so remember that. And he's like having to deal with that as he's trying to fit in with these group of Power Rangers. It's so good. I love it. The art is great. The story is just like it's Power Rangers, and if you're a fan of Power Rangers, I definitely recommend it. If you know something about the Power Rangers, I would ask that you give it a try and see what you think, because you don't have to know anything about the Power Rangers.
AKA me.
Exactly. You don't have to know anything about the Power Rangers to read this book. I mean, like nothing, no super in-depth knowledge. You just have to have an idea. I like it. So far it's my favorite. But I'm a big Power Rangers nerd, so. Yeah.
No, that's good. I mean, we want things that aren't Marvel and DC in our lives, right? We like things that aren't, the classic Avengers storylines or the Justice League.
Right.
Power Rangers, so you and I were talking before the show. I've never been a huge Power Rangers fan. The last one I think I remember watching, and the only one I remember vividly, was Time Force, which was baller. We got like Dino Thunder after that, and so I quit.
Yeah, no, it's okay. That was a great time to bail out.
I bailed out when I was like 10 and never looked back. because it used to come on right after Digimon.
Yes.
Oh God, if you do a Digimon comic,
I think
that
we
would be
might get
covered
one
at the top of the show every week.
Like, since Digimon is, resurging, we have a new game coming out next week. The new anime is out. We might maybe get a comic. I don't know.
I would love that. I'd even love a manga. It would just be fantastic. Mm-hmm. So you say it's a great jumping on point for someone who's not huge into Power Rangers. You recommend giving it a shot.
Mm-hmm. It's a good book.
I'm looking forward to going and getting this. My shop was all sold out when I got there.
Right.
And I like my comics physically. I don't like them quite. I haven't gone digital yet. I'm very close to that.
I'm straight half and half right now. Like, if I don't have time to go to the store, I'll in a heartbeat buy them digitally.
Right. I do a lot of my Marvel ones digitally.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Power Rangers, man.
Yeah, so Power Rangers.
The classic ones, especially with a new movie on the horizon.
Yeah, no, that'll be great. So I misspoke. I said Boom Comics, but it's Boom Studios. So my bad. But yeah. So what's your? Are we on your third or your fourth pick?
We're on my final pick.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, what's your final pick?
The part of the show I'm going to dub the Star Wars second, because there's so many Star Wars comics that come out every week. There's a different one. This week is Star Wars issue number 15. We just finished the Vader Down arc. So
right.
The last time we finished an arc, when we finished Skywalker Strikes, the first 6 issues or so, we got a special issue where Luke had found Obi-Wan Kenobi's journal and was kind of learning the history of Ben Kenobi. And so now with the Vader Down arc finished, this is the next interlude, really. The cover is fantastic. First off, the cover should get you really intrigued if you're a huge Star Wars fan. It's like they digitally aged Ewan McGregor about 10 years.
It actually looks really good.
It looks very well done. I'm not going to spoil anything. This is potentially my favorite single issue of the main Star Wars comic. I think this issue alone adds so much to the overall universe, not just to the story of Obi-Wan or to what Luke's learning through Obi-Wan's journal. It just adds so much to the world and to the Obi-Wan character. It's very tastefully done. The artwork is, of course, the artwork's been great throughout the whole run. It was very much needed break after the whole Vader Down arc. There's some character origins dealt with characters in the comics that we've only seen in the comics that are dealt with in this issue also. So some old fan favorites come back from films. It's very exciting. Highly recommend it. And it's a one-off. The next issue is going to dive right into the next arc, so we're going to have to wait like 6 more months to get another Obi-Wan issue.
That's really cool, though. I like stuff like that.
I love that. I think it's a very interesting way to approach a comic. I've never really seen it done before. So next week we have Obi-Wan and Anakin's next issue, so I can't wait to talk about that at the next show. That's really, really cool. Give me more Kenobi. Give me more Ewan McGregor in comics.
Yes, please. So I'm probably going to pick that up, too. All right, then. So I guess for my final pick, I don't know. I went half and half this time. So this is another DC book. But this is Arrow, the Dark Archer. This is the book written by John Barrowman, who we know as Malcolm on the show, and his sister, Carol. They teamed up to write this book, and it takes place in the Arrow universe, the TV show, and it's about Malcolm Merlyn, or as we know him now, Ra's al Ghul, and it's kind of taking on and giving more information into the character and what he's doing while the Arrow and all his team are doing his stuff. This is what Malcolm's doing, and kind of some cool stuff like that. So I'm interested to see if it ties into the show, like the main show's plot right now at all. Or not. So it could be interesting.
I think you can take it in one of two directions. I think it's either going to tie into Arrow or it's going to tie into Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm actually more of a believer on that end. I haven't read the comic yet. Disclaimer.
Right.
This is on my list to read. And I've gotten away from Arrow itself. So very much involved in Flash. I've heaped tons of praise on Legends of Tomorrow. Awesome second episode last night, by the way. And
watching it tonight.
I love that they're expanding the universe this way. We've had the Arrow and Flash comics before, and I'm not sure if those tie into the show or not. I never really read them.
I'm really not sure either. I think they might be like...
They're called like season 2.5 and stuff.
Right. I think they were like asides to like random side things. Like, remember how they mentioned the turtle and how he came out of nowhere? He might have been in the comic book mentioned.
Right.
I don't know.
So I'm really interested to see how this works. John Barrowman's writing it.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. We talked about this on the show. It was just announced like a month or two ago, and all of a sudden it's on our doorstep.
Yeah, there's 4 books and they're only $1 a piece. So definitely
Oh
give them a shot if you
God,
can.
yeah, definitely.
Digitally, anyway, they're only $1 a piece.
Yeah, definitely. I really like this. Malcolm Earl is a very interesting character in the
Yes,
Arrowverse.
he is.
Alternating
One
between
of my favorites.
interesting and agitating. Man, I can't believe this is already out. I had no idea when this was coming out. So definitely, I'm gonna have to pick this one up.
Well, his sister is like, she's a novelist. She writes a lot of like books.
Right.
So I can see how like the writing would be moved along pretty quick. But apparently the art is really pretty.
I mean, you got a ton to do all the art though.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know. It looks like they have the time and the money to pay the people to keep working on it. So
I'm down. I definitely want to read more about Malcolm.
Yeah. So, all right then. Well, you have any honorable mentions you want to mention, or are we wrapping up?
I'm trying to think because I bought some last week. Oh, yes, my honorable mention, Miss Marvel herself, Kamala Khan.
Yeah, Kamala Khan.
Read issue 3 last week, and it seems to be following the pattern that some of the Marvel books are now, like all new, all different Avengers. The first 3 issues are kind of like a prologue to the actual series. This was issue 3, kind of ending it. It's a really small personal conflict that she's dealing with in it. But the next issue was the solicitation for the next issue is what got me really excited. I think it looks really cool. I like how they're not having these younger heroes deal with global conflicts quite yet. They're dealing with little ones in their towns. Like hers is literally the first 3 issues are just about her neighborhood. Wow. I really, really like that. Yeah, she's a member of the Avengers, but she's still dealing with Jersey City. It makes it feel more personal when you read those and then you go and read the actual books. And Miss Marvel probably has the best solo book behind Iron Man of any of the Avengers.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, Bray and I are both huge fans of Miss Marvel. If you've not read the original run, it's only about 18, 19 issues. It started in 2014, ended at Secret Wars. Especially Volume 1, just fantastic. No more normal.
You should be able to get that pretty cheap now, maybe like $10.
I got it for $3 on Marvel's app a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow. So look for those sales. They'll be around.
Marvel's digital comics, let me tell you something. I got it, just as an aside, is the greatest thing ever. They regularly put collections on sale for like $3 or $4 that are like 200 pages long. I bought a ton of classic Star Wars comics on there. I bought literally 1,000 pages worth of comics the weekend Force Awakens came out for a total of like $10.
Wow. I
got the Dark Empire trilogy. I got the whole Crimson Empire run and a few others like huge classic stories I'm a fan of. I got a classic Spider-Man, or not classic, but I got one of the Spider-Man collections from a couple of years ago recently for $3. I got some of Hickman's Avengers very cheap. Right now they've got Original Sin on sale and Thanos versus Hulk. You can get the whole run of Thanos versus Hulk for $4. Just some very cool things. That app is awesome, and it really makes me upset that DC doesn't have one for somebody like me to catch up with.
Yeah, it sounds like next week that'll be a new segment we add to the show, is we'll be telling you about the sales that are going on. It'll be great. Thanks for that, Josh. That'll be fantastic.
You're welcome. I mean, we'll try and post them as we see them in the Facebook group too, since we only do this every other week. But yeah, Kamala Khan, definitely check out Miss Marvel. Give it a shot at least. Some people aren't going to like the artwork or the stylization of the character, and I understand that. It's sometimes it's a little hard to read a teenager, but the way they do Miss Marvel is so tasteful, and I like it so much better than the new Nova series, which I'm not a fan of. Obviously, Miles Morales comes out next week, which we're very excited.
The run last year for Young Nova was fantastic. It was good last year.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they changed a lot of the writers this time around. I think they kept Miss Marvel's writers intact, though, and that's why it feels very much like a continuation. She did not appear in Secret Wars. It's kind of like we're picking up where we left off in a sense. So that's my honorable mention this week.
All right, so I guess now we're going to get to the portion of the show with where we picked up our books this week. So I know that I have a few different comic book shops here in town, but I also buy mine digitally as well. Josh, where did you pick up your books physically this week?
Physically, my books. Lone Star Comics in Arlington, Texas, right in the middle of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I've been going to them since I was a wee lad. I was about 7 or 8, I think, the first time I went to the shop and started buying back issues. Very, very cool shop. I get a lot of my collectibles there also. They have a huge collectible section as soon as you walk in, and then the whole wall is just comics wall to wall. It's comic issues. huge bookcases full of graphic novels and art books. If you're ever in the DFW area, or if you listen to us and you're from that area, please go check them out. They got a shop in Arlington, and they got one in Fort Worth, over by Northeast Mall, I want to say. So, yeah. Okay. Or Wild West.
Yeah, so the physical books I picked up this week.
Go ahead.
Say that again.
So their name is Wild West. I forgot they changed their name a few months ago. So from Lone Star to Wild West Comics, give them a check out. They're a local business that's been in business like 50 years or something.
Yes, and we love supporting local business. Trust me. So, so the books that I picked up, that I happened to pick up physically, I picked up from Prairie Dog Comics here in Wichita, Kansas. Out there next, if you're listening to the show, out there next to what remains of the West Mall. So I love those guys. They always, they're really nice to me and really friendly. And if I ever had any questions, they're more than willing to answer them, or they get an answer to me later on. It's fantastic. So yeah, check out Prairie Dog Comics. Digitally, I usually use Comixology. They're really good. I love it. It's really easy to use. In addition to the Marvel app, like Josh said, but I usually use Comixology because they have a mixture of everything instead of just, one set. So they have a lot of DC and they have a lot of Marvel. So yeah, that's where I get my books. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us for the first episode of Neek the Poolist podcast. Well, every 2 weeks, Josh and I, and occasionally a third person when we have somebody, will talk about the books that we purchased. Like I said, you can find us on almost all the social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr. I don't know if we're on Reddit yet, but YouTube. All Neek the podcast, ! is where they'll all be posted. We appreciate you for listening. And like I said, if you have anything you want us to read or check out, or you just want to tell us how good the show was and how bad it was, we want to know. We don't know how good our show is unless you tell us. I mean, I'm just going to assume it's the best.
Ray, you want to tell them where to find us personally?
Personally, you can find me on Twitter at Ray Apollo. Just reach out to me there. I'm usually always active on Twitter. Josh, where can we find you?
At Josh_Finn on Twitter. I'm just as active as Ray, if not more.
Yep.
So that's where we like to go. That's where we have a lot of our conversations and find out news that we're tweeting out in the comics world. So yeah.
Yep, definitely. Just reach out. We're always available, and I think we're nice guys. So that's it for the first episode. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. Bye now.